Hello, today I'll be giving a quick demo of the testing action that was added to the APBs. The testing actions proposal can be found on the Ansible Playbook Bundles repo, and from there you can take a look around and see what the idea behind it was. But the quick summary is that the test action is to be used by cluster admins before they allow an APB to be deployed on their clusters. This will be used by them to test that the APB will actually function as expected, and the APB authors are supposed to implement a test playbook, much the same way as you would implement a provision or a bind or a deprovision playbook. The test playbook will live in the playbook's directory, as you can see here, and it will also be able to be interacted with the exact same way that a provision or a bind would be interacted with. So I've already created two APBs, one that will run test and fail, and one that will run test and pass. The failure is just a flipped equality just to show the failure. This will be in the MediaWiki repo, which you can find here in the Ansible Playbook Bundle organization. As you can see, it's a normal APB. All that we've added is to the playbook. We've added the test.yaml. Do a quick rundown of what this is. Basically, it loads up the Kubernetes modules. It loads your defaults, which I'll show you in a second, but basically these will cover all your parameters that you don't have default for already as the APB author, so that a cluster admin can just run the test action and doesn't have to worry about passing in any extra parameters. It will run the provision role here. That's the normal provision role that we always use for MediaWiki, and then we run the verify MediaWiki APB role, which I've added, and I'll show you that in a second as well. So quickly, the defaults is just a YAML file where we define the defaults that we would like to set. And like I said, these will cover the parameters that you expect to be passed in, but in this case, we don't expect the cluster admin to go in and write those by hand, that the APB author can just set some defaults and then tests should always work. This is the verify role. As you can see, it's a fairly simple go ahead and fail when the web page status is not 200. So we're expecting that the route should be reachable once this is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and run some of these. The action to run is defined here in the Ansible Playbook Bundle testing documentation. Let's go ahead and run this one. So a quick walkthrough of what this command does. The testing pass is just the name of the pod, the image that we want to run. The environment variable OpenShift token will allow our APB base to run inside the cluster. OC who am I-T will just give the token. We're also passing in the environment variable OpenShift target, which will tell the APB where to run against, and the restart never basically tells the APB, the pod, and Kubernetes to not rerun this if it does fail. So let's go ahead and run this guy, and we can watch the logs here. As you can see, we're doing the normal. It ran the test action, and you can also see that we're just doing the normal provision things right now. This is the same things that you would expect to be happening if we were just running provision, and you can see here that it's inside that role. So we're just going to go ahead and wait for the provisioning to finish, and that should give us a pass. So I went ahead and I just paused the video for a quick second while we were waiting. So we can see here that we're checking the URL, and it looks like everything passed okay. We can also just check by getting the pod status. And here you can see the status of the pod is completed, so everything should be fine and good to go. So now I'll show you a failure. All I'm going to do is change up this to run the failure image and run as a failure pod. So just give me a quick second to update this and we'll get that running. So here we can go ahead and also watch the logs. So in this case, it took a shorter time for the provisioning to work, but it, as you can see, looks like it failed due to that check, unable to reach host. We can see from the pod status that there's an error, so we know that this APB is not good. I will give all of the links to the documentation and everything in the notes. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment, or you can jump in IRC in the AS Broker channel on Freenode. Thank you for your time. Have a good one.